So when did you come to that conclusion that you had to stop that and actually get to where, look, I got to make some moves that's going to be productive?
So I'll tell you, when I drink, I drink just like an addict. I don't drink every day. When I did drink, I never drank by myself or anything. But like when I drink, I don't say no to anything else, and I don't remember anything. And I actually had a really bad overdose. So I was just drinking at the bar with my buddies. Didn't even remember leaving the bar, and we all go and end up getting high. And I woke up strapped to a hospital bed and almost died.
Oh, shit.
And that's when I had my wake up call, and have been completely sober from everything since then. It's been 3.5 years now.
Wow. Wow, that's a hell of a way to get clean.
I mean, imagine making it through your prison sentence, which is the toughest thing in the world, and
to come out on the street.
and then come out and die.
Yeah.
But it happens all the time to people. I can't tell you the friends that I lose every few months, every year. Handfuls of them.
But I think about like my worst day out here. I say it's not better than my best day in prison. So when I told people they're like, oh man, this, I'm like, dude, this is nothing. Just think about like you're like being in the hole, like being in there like damn near naked, freezing. They got the AC. There's
Absolutely.
nothing. You're sleeping on the floor. You're hungry. You don't know. You don't even know if somebody's out there. You're like tripping out, and you're like, damn. And now I'm free, dude. This is like a bad day in traffic. You're like laughing, like this is nothing, man.
So I still have to check myself on that all the time. Like I could have a bad day at work now, and I think it's the end of the world, and then it doesn't take me a few times. So I get home, and I get in my truck, put some music on, and I'm like. What am I even complaining
exactly.
about? Like you got it, and you can almost laugh it off. When you drive
gotta
home,
laugh it off.
Like, how could I even be mad about that? I would have gave my life to have a problem that I'm worried about right now. Back then, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So what are you doing now, man? What do you have going on in your life now?
So I'll tell you. So I'm a big believer, because I had no chance to even have a good career or something. I feel like a success story for my story would have been working a construction dead-end job and just staying out of prison. You know, it's about, like I said, capitalizing on who you know and what you know. So like my dad taught me when I was younger, it's not what you know, it's who you know.
That's
so.
Right.
Luckily, my co-defendant, him and my little brother, were the only two people that didn't say it was all me and telling me. He actually was a finance person at a car dealership. And he got the okay to at least have them interview me to give me a shot selling cars when one of my charges was stealing a brand new Mercedes-Benz from the Mercedes-Benz of Chandler, But I mean, he sold a story that I'm a changed man. I was a dumb kid. I didn't even think about consequences when I was younger, And then when I was in prison, I was just a different person. That wasn't me. I was morphed into a person that I wasn't even myself just to survive that situation when I was in prison, So anyways, I talked to him. Give me a job. I start selling cars. First month, I do really, really well. Second month, I get salesperson of the month. And prison does teach you hustle, And I remember all those times I was locked in that cell by myself, and I was in a single cell 5x7. You couldn't even stretch your arms out. You could stretch them out this much, and you could
elbow
myself. You couldn't even do a push-up next to my bed. That's how small the cells I've been in. CB2 was built in 1939. So all those times I would just be sitting there working out, just staring out into those bars, just thinking, man, when I get out, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. So one thing it teach me was the hustle. So when I got the job, I took off running. After I get salesperson of the month, and then I replaced all the bad addiction with a money addiction, and just trying to help people, and actually made it into finance now. So I'm actually a finance guy at a big car dealership up in Scottsdale now.
Wow, congrats, man.
Yeah,
that's a hell of a turnaround. What would you tell a person that is an ex-felon who's out here trying to, get themselves situated based on what you went through? As far as what advice would you give them on being successful?
I would say the biggest thing is your friends that you think are friends ain't your friends. Obviously, doing 12 years in prison, I could have had 1,000 different contacts when I got out. I talked to one person, and he's sober to this day. After 12 years, I don't talk to a single other person from there. Your friends aren't your friends. It's about getting out and getting your own hustle on, and you just gotta. A lot of people just feel too sorry for themselves, and they think like once they get out, like they have no chance, and I feel like they're just sitting out here waiting to go back to prison.
So it's almost like playing a victim.
Absolutely, you got to play the victim, which I did too. And I use that excuse for a lot of times. And me and my dad used to get in arguments about it, and I'm like, "What do you expect me to do, Dad? Where do you expect me to get a job?" That's what we used to argue about every day. So then we finally, and you come to mind, I'm 30 years old at this time. My dad's treating me like I'm a little kid. He's like, the rule was I have to apply to 3 jobs a day. So I'd be like, fill out 3 little fake applications, and I'll be done. I'm like, all right, cool. No one hired me again, Dad. Who's gonna even call me to tell me they don't want to hire me? Just perseverance, though, man. I didn't want to go back, and after that last episode, I feel like it saved my life. And then I realized I was like, because you get so caught up, just like I said, in just being free. I was so happy to be free. I wasn't worrying about anything else, And then once that thing happened, I was like, oh my God, what am I doing, And I was on parole at the time too.
I know it's almost surreal. I know when when I first got out, and I'd be doing things. I'd be like, man, is this real? You know what I mean? Are they gonna come? And I used to have, you know, up until like a couple months ago, like nightmares where I wake up and like I'd be dreaming and I'd be in prison. I don't know how I got there. I'm like, man, you know, I'm supposed to be out. You guys won't let me out on my date. And like I had this reoccurring dream because, you know, in prison you wake up and it's like, man, you think you're dreaming that you're free and you're locked up. So I had the flip dreams. I'm like, man, you know, like it's just like it's almost like you don't realize how much and how valuable freedom is until you've lost it.
Absolutely.
You know, so that's something I think about to this day.
And I always say closed mouth doesn't get fed. So like,
Yeah.
it's about people that get out of the joint. Everybody knows somebody, you know. So whether
right, that's
and you
right.
got to network off your people that haven't been to prison. So don't hang out with your prison people and expect them to get you a job that makes good money. They don't know how to make good money, you know. Network through your other friends, maybe
That's
the people that you
successful.
hung out with
Yeah.
before, or even your family friends,
The
or
squares.
anything. Yeah,
Yeah.
the squares, absolutely, man. Because if I were to associate with my prison friends and ask them how to get a job or get me a job somewhere, they don't have jobs themselves. I'd be back in prison myself if
Yeah.
I'm still alive. You know, it's about networking and just you got to get someone to take a chance on you. And when you, like I said, when I got the GM of my place to take a chance on me, I didn't look back, you know, thank God. But it's you just got to get one person
And
to
you
take a chance on
performed,
you.
though. You
Absolutely.
actually lived up to what you said. He put his name on the line for you, and
Absolutely.
you came through.
Yeah, and it's like I said, but you just all you got to do is get one person to take a chance on you. You know what I'm saying? Then it's up to you. If you let it fail, you fail. You know.
So, if you could tell a younger version of you anything that that could have made a difference, what would you have told a younger version of you
Before prison or after prison?
before prison?
That's even hard to say right now because as crazy as this sounds, and I was bitter getting out, like I'm so happy with my life. I'm so happy I did 12 years in prison. I think my life is exactly where it's supposed to be to this day. I mean, this hotel room where I am right now with you is exactly where my life is supposed to be. So I honestly, I wouldn't want to skip all that. However, it would be nicer to not go to the prison, have that story. I feel like I would have been a college athlete. Who knows what I would have done after that. But man, I'm so just thankful for my life now that I got everything on play. And so I go back to a few different treatment centers that I was in when I was on probation before I went away to prison.
Okay.
I've been back there and I speak to all those kids now that are going through the treatment center, because the problem with me is when I was younger and I was in these treatment centers, some dude that's telling me about drug addiction and stuff has a degree and has never used drugs in his life before. I didn't listen to a word he said, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
But when they see someone like me coming in that's been 12 years in prison, used every drug known to man, almost killed themselves multiple times. So when they come there, you already have that credibility, just like someone in prison. You don't listen to someone that's never been down that path before, you know?
Well, that's why I asked that question because, you know, I always think back when I was a straight A student. I was skateboarding, BMX, and playing sports. I was in all that stuff. I had all these pictures of Sports Illustrated on my wall, and then I got into like hanging on the street. But like you said, it was not the family members who didn't go to, who weren't street that I listened to. It was the street guys, the penitentiary dudes. And I thought, man, what if that guy would have told me, hey, man, get your ass from over here, man. You ain't gonna be at the park selling drugs. You're gonna, I see you out here skateboard, man. Keep practicing what you do. You need another skateboard here. I'm gonna buy you one.
Yeah.
If I would have had that push, or here, I see you playing basketball. Here's another. I would have left that. You know what I mean? But I didn't have that. So when I went out there and they embraced me like, oh, little homie, I see you out here getting your money, man. You out here hustling, huh? So I felt like, hey, I'm in the mix, and I felt like I was this grown man at 15. So I embraced it. So I just try to when I flip, like you said, if somebody's a square, man, square, you can't tell me shit. You work all day, you're tired, you get up and it's like you don't have no life. The homie got a car on, he's got money, he's got
rims
women,
on his car.
rims on his car, he's beating, he's enjoying his days. You're not enjoying your day, and he don't have to go to work every day. So that was to me more intriguing.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I just try to when I see young people today, I'm trying to think of how you can relate, and I know sometimes, like you said, I feel like if I wouldn't have went through that, I couldn't have this with you today, which, we're sharing this conversation, and I know I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be also, but I just think man, what if I would have stuck with school, man? I was a straight student. I could have went to college. Where would my life be?
I still think about that all the time to this day.
It's like I watch sports all the time. I'm like, man, I wish I would have kept doing this or doing that.
People that come to my dealership now, when they're wearing an ASU shirt or something, their son or daughter plays for ASU or something like that, I still to this day, when we're walking to my office now, I'm like thinking, that should have been my parents, God, what if shit would have been differently? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy, man. And then, like you said, you just think back to the conversations you had in prison, and then now that you're out here and you're living your life, man, how different it is.
Absolutely, yeah. And like I said, the real tough work happens once the honeymoon phase is over. Once you get out of prison, it's the easy part's right when you get out of prison. It's after the honeymoon phase is over and you actually got to work and be a grown ass man. You know what I'm saying? When you've been taught nothing but violence and how to you're taught no life skills other than violence when you're in prison. You know what I mean?
So if you could give the people any last advice as far as in life, or if you're trying to talk to somebody who's maybe watching this video, who's dealing with substance abuse, what would you tell them?
Man, there is always a solution for it. I never thought so until I found my solution. Recovery is brutal. I mean, drugs are brutal. It affects everybody, doctors, lawyers, no matter people in prison. It affects everybody. There's no one that's off limits to it. And there is always hope. Like, man, when I first after that overdose, I was like, the next day I seriously want to kill myself, man. I was like thinking I make it out of 12 years in prison, get through all this, now I almost kill myself, and I'm like, how did I do this? But you don't see no end in sight, and my biggest message would be that there is always a end in sight. A lot of people now that are in recovery too, and I'm talking to them, they hear their lows and they think there's no chance, and once they spend a few minutes talking to each other, they're just like, their low don't seem like that bad anymore now that they've heard my low. You know what I'm saying? And if I can get to where I am, that's why I tell them, if I can get to where I am from as low as I was, why couldn't you get 10 times higher than I am? You weren't even as low as me from the start.
That's right.
That's why it works so well, There's all type of avenues for recovery out there, man. The biggest thing is picking up that phone. A lot of people don't want to pick up the phone for the first time. It's hard to ask for help, especially for people like someone like me that's an alpha male, and I think I can figure everything out on my own, It's just hard to ask for help, but once you do and the solution's there, man, dude, my life is a fairy tale right now, bro. I literally live my life that I don't feel like I deserve, almost. So
if people want to reach you as far as social media, do you have any social media at least?
Yeah, I do. My social media is Peter_Meyerhoff, and that's Meyerhoff. Facebook, the same thing, Peter Meyerhoff.
Okay. Hey, I appreciate you coming on the show, man. Your story, man, I think it'll be an inspiration to a lot of people out there trying to figure out their own lives. And I look forward to big things from you in the future, man.
Absolutely. I would love for anybody to reach out to me too that wants any help or any advice with addiction or anything at all with that, prison, anything, man. I want to be an open book, and I want my story to help other people so they don't have to go through what I went through, because a lot of people couldn't go through that.
Thank you, man.
Thank you, man. It's a pleasure.
Appreciate it. Big Hurt, fresh out.